Salute, this is The Real Buzz with Divine and CT. Joining us, our friend Marc Berman of the New York Post. We're sharing Christmas buzz, Knicks real talk for your stocking, while the holiday streets are buzzing. How are you, Marc?
Doing well. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you guys. It's coming up not only Christmas, but the Knicks Atlanta on Christmas Day. We'll see who's healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited about that. We're looking forward to that game. But Marc, let me ask you a question. With the COVID situation around the league, the Knicks COVID effect, is it affecting the Knicks in a certain way? I mean, what do you think about the league right now with all this COVID that's going on? It's just crazy right now. The variant is running amok all over the place, and it just is pretty tough right now. I mean, what's your thoughts on the league and as far as the Knicks COVID situation? Do you think they're going to be able to maintain this thing and having deep rolls out, Shelton out? Tyler Hall question, Luka Samuels question, pretty tough for the Knicks in the league right now. What do you think about the stuff going on right now?
I think that the safety measures that they took last season have not been in place this year. And even with all this outbreak, I'm in Boston in a small little room with Thibodeau and Kemba Walker late Saturday night. Thibodeau and Walker didn't have masks on. Then the night before, or 2 nights before in Houston, I'm in a small room with Miles McBride and Emmanuel Quickly. They didn't have masks on. And we're right, me, Steve Popper of Newsday, and one of the MSG Network producers. And I don't know. It's like the next day, Miles and Quickly, are in health and safety protocols. So, and there was no reaction. The NBA is just letting it fly right now. They're desperate to get to Christmas Day. That's the big revenue day for the league. 5 games, national TV. I'm trying to wonder, and some people in the league are wondering if Silver is trying to get the NBA to Christmas, and then after that reevaluates and maybe puts a pause on the season for 10 days, because this is out of control. The Boston Knicks game, both teams had 6 players in COVID-19 protocol. Last season, the Knicks never had more than 1 player, and that was, a month apart. Derrick Rose had COVID, and so did Alec Burks, but they never were missing more than 1 player.
Yeah. Do you know if Obi Toppin guys, they've been out for a while? You think they should be back pretty soon? Do you think they'll be back for Christmas? Because they've been out for a minute.
Yeah, I think they'll be back by Christmas, but I don't think for against Detroit Tuesday night did not sound like that in practice. They're still in safety protocols. Listen, the new rules are all you need is 2 negative tests in 24 hours, a span of 24 hours. So, like, if one of these guys tests negative, at 4:00 today, and then tests negative 4:00 tomorrow, maybe they could suit up. But they're out of condition, haven't practiced. I don't know if any of the 6 guys are going to be ready, to be honest. Again, you could rush them into a game, but without a practice, maybe it's not the smartest thing, especially coming off COVID. I'm told that none of these guys really had symptoms, but they don't know anything about what COVID-19 does to an athlete in the long term, and bringing him back to play a NBA game all of a sudden after just having it, you never know. But I don't see any of the 6 guys coming back. But by Christmas, I think more than half of them will suit up.
Yep. Yeah, it's always safety first and foremost. And you're reporting obviously Damyean Dotson. The New York Knicks have reached out for some help, and they've looked to a familiar face. How did that come about, Marc?
I mean, I wasn't even aware that Damyean wasn't in the league, but he played 2 seasons with Cleveland after leaving the Knicks, and then was invited to camp on a non-guaranteed deal and was cut. So he wound up in the G League with the Austin Spurs, and he's playing pretty good. He's averaging 13 points, nothing special, but he's not a big scorer. He could shoot the 3, but he doesn't handle the ball. He doesn't really create his own shot, but he's a good defender with size, a Thibodeau type player, actually, even though As we remember, he was drafted by Phil Jackson, and back with Frank Ntilikina in that same draft of 2017. Will he play tomorrow? Probably. They played 8 men in Boston. One of those players was Wayne Selden, who's really, I don't think he's an NBA player, in my opinion. So we may see Damyean in his second stint against Detroit. Listen, Scott Perry knows a lot about Damyean's character. They're very, very fussy when it comes to signing a player like this. They want to make sure he fits in the locker room, and there's no issues with Damyean Dotson. He's a very good character guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. I remember that first stint with the Knicks, I was surprised that they didn't bring him back. But I guess that's how the ball bounces sometime in the NBA, where they just feel like they're going to go another way and get another player that they can get. So, but I'm glad they brought him back because Damyean Dotson, like I said, he'll help the team tomorrow night, for sure. And as far as that, with the Kemba Walker situation, that's a pretty tough thing going on right now. And the Fournier thing, I know these guys, after last night, the other game in Boston, after the press conference, you heard Kemba Walker saying that he wanted to play, but Tibbs haven't spoke to him and all this thing. Do you think that thing is gonna run the course and he probably wind up just moving him? What's your thoughts on the Kemba Walker and Fournier thing in New York?
Yeah, I don't think you could trade him now during this COVID outbreak. And I think it will give pause for the Knicks to deal him unless they're getting something they really like back. Because, you never know when the next COVID positive is going to be. So he's a good depth piece. But as far as him getting his prior role back, I mean, Tom Thibodeau is such an ego. He made this decision, and looks like he's going to stand by it. He'll probably start tomorrow, though. It didn't sound like Derrick Rose was healthy enough to return against Detroit with his sprained ankle. He's had a bulky ankle for a lot of the season, and he keeps re-aggravating it. I know it's not a good time to really let it heal completely, but it is the Pistons, the worst team in the league. So I just don't see Rose playing. I do see Kemba back as the point guard starting. I don't think he'll play 36 minutes. I think he kind of ran out of steam in the fourth quarter in Boston. I think, with Dotson there, they're able then to extend the bench a little more. So, as far as Kemba, he'll be traded at some point. I just don't think – I thought it would be more immediate before the COVID outbreak, but I think he'll stick around. The tension between the two is pretty obvious. It didn't feel right after the game. Thibodeau was very clipped. He complimented him, said he played really well, very well, but he wasn't effusive in any way. And possibly, they lost the game, and Kemba didn't really have a big fourth quarter. So that was probably another reason Thibodeau wasn't so effusive. But the fact that Thibodeau is not really talked to Kemba at length or in any way, shape, or form to explain this is a bad sign, and it's, to me, bad coaching. I think communication is so important in the NBA as a head coach. And Kemba, all he talked about was Johnny Bryant, the assistant coach, who has been working with him, who's been in his ear, who's been encouraging him. And it should be noted that Johnny Bryant was not hired by Tom Thibodeau. They did not know each other at all when Johnny joined Thibodeau's staff. That was William Wesley who brought on Johnny Bryant.
Yeah. The whole Kemba can only start or he doesn't play sort of thing just hasn't quite sit right with me. I think he can do good things off the bench. Now, I don't know if it's on Kemba's end where he doesn't want to come off the bench, but there's definitely the chemistry, like we touched on last time, Marc. I think since the two new additions, the chemistry has just never been the same. And Randle himself has never been the same this season. And some of the vets and young players, the work ethic that we spoke of and them coming into the gym late nights, it just seems like that camaraderie is now a little bit off kilt.
Well, Julius and Kemba, it just didn't work. And even the other night, Kemba comes back. Kemba has a big night, and Julius struggles. They never seem to play well at the same time. They don't play well off each other. I think they needed more time, but Thibodeau obviously thought differently. Julius is not only struggling on the court, I think he's struggling to be the leader of this team. The Knicks need him to be the leader, but I don't think because he's struggling, Julius doesn't have it in him. He's not. I even see it on the court. It's like when he's missing shots, he's not energetic. He's not encouraging his teammates. But then when he starts hitting shots, I see him all like, patting everyone on the back and everything. But he needs to be like that all the time. And listen, last season was fluky. It was before no fans or 1,900 fans. And Julius Randle excelled in that environment. Once we got to the playoffs and the Garden had 16,000 screaming fans and Atlanta was jam-packed at State Farm Arena, Julius didn't play that well. Someone said it's easy to hit three-point shots in an empty gym. It's a little tougher when you have a full house, and sort of a bedlam type atmosphere. So maybe we're seeing Julius Randle the way he once was, back to normal. I mean, normal for Julius was sort of an inconsistent, very talented player, but not a winning player. And I hate to say that because the Knicks have put so much investment into Julius, and I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, it is a different type. He is playing a different type of ball this year compared to last year. But like you said, last year the Knicks caught everybody by storm. They was under the radar. There wasn't a lot of expectations. But like for us Tibbs, I've been hearing some stuff out there. Do you think this team is starting to, I don't want to say tune him out because I think that'd be the wrong word to say. I know Tibbs is a well-respected coach, but his coaching style, he demands a lot from players. Do you think like guys will feel like they tuning him out because of his coaching style, or you think that just really not the case? It's just that they just playing bad basketball?
I think there's something to it, and I think some players were a little turned off in how he handled the Kemba Walker situation because it could happen to them. All of a sudden, the starting point guard can't get into a game for 9 straight games, even as the Knicks became shorthanded. I think that was the head scratcher. It's one thing to make the move, but then when you get a couple of COVID-19 protocols and he still couldn't get in the game, he couldn't get into the game until 6 guys were out with COVID and Derrick Rose goes down with an ankle injury. So it was disrespectful to someone who has accomplished so much in his career as a 4-time All-Star and also a great guy. I mean, all the players talked about how well he handled the demotion, still in practice, lively and encouraging. And you saw him on the bench. I'm sure they panned to him where you could see him. I mean, being live at the game, I was very curious and kept watching Kemba, and he was always up on his feet clapping. I will say the one time I did notice that he wasn't as energetic was in Houston, because that was ridiculous. That was ridiculous that he didn't get into the game, although it worked out. Miles McBride played the entire second half and played it well, so Thibodeau rolled with him. But it's still that must have been a real sucker punch to Kemba that he couldn't get into the game in Houston after Derrick Rose went out at halftime.
Yeah, I bring that up because I also, with the Mitchell Robinson situation, him getting benched and things of that nature. So I just wonder these guys just starting to feel some type of way, but maybe that's just part about being coach under Tom Thibodeau. He's a real intense guy. He's really detail oriented. If you can't play D, you don't play. Blah blah blah. But let's hope this thing don't go too far away because we want Tom Thibodeau to lead these boys to where we need them to go. So, but it is interesting to see all this going on, and then with him, Kemba Walker, Mitchell Robinson, these guys, it's not fun being a Knicks fan, seeing the coach and the players had to go through this stuff. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, listen, the history shows that Thibodeau does wear out some of his players, and it's only his second season. We're not even at the halfway mark. I'm hoping that hasn't happened. I know Julius Randle stands by him. Obviously, he's got Derrick Rose in his corner, Taj Gibson. But even Derrick Rose, when we asked about Kemba, Derrick seemed a little ambivalent. Julius Randle has been the only player, when asked about the Kemba demotion, that seemed excited. I mean, legitimately excited. And I think the first time he was asked about it, he says, "You're going to see this team really take off soon." And everyone else was like RJ, definitely Evan Fournier. Everyone else seemed to be a little more hesitant and a little more respectful. Julius showed no respect for Kemba. He just said that, you know, this is what the coach thinks we need, and I think we're going to be really good. Switching on defense. I mean, he sounded like Thibodeau. I mean, it was weird.
Yep. And Marc, the transaction season's obviously underway now. You reported very recently Eric Gordon. There's potentially some interest from the New York Knicks end. He's a veteran that can defend, can shoot. So that's real interesting for us. He is friends with Derrick Rose. Obviously, you reported that growing up. They shared a bond. Why don't you just talk to us about that a little bit, and also any other names that you've heard that the New York Knicks might be linked to?
I mean, Derrick and Eric actually played together on an AAU team one season. Eric can play point guard also, and in fact, in the Houston game, he played the point guard, and he could really. I mean, he didn't shoot the ball well that night, but he was able to get into the lane and get to the basket, and he dished out 9 assists. So he really showed something. If Thibodeau was like really watching carefully, he showed that he could handle the one. And he's a dogged defender. Derrick Rose has a bond with him. And the Rockets what do they need Eric Gordon for? Eric has a big contract. The question is, would the Knicks decide that Evan Fournier was a mistake and put him in a deal for Eric Gordon? Fournier has more years on his contract than Gordon, but they're close to the same. And that would be the big interest of Gordon older. He'll be 33 on Christmas, I believe. But he's been in the playoffs a lot. Fournier has not. He's a big three-point shooter, a better three-point shooter than Fournier. And he can create his own shot. And it's a crazy thought for Fournier type of a situation. But listen, there's other guys. Listen, they need a stretch 4 or stretch 5. They have essentially all their big men can't shoot from the outside. You just look at the centers with Noel and Mitchell. Down the line, Jericho Sims, Taj Gibson. Nobody could shoot a jump shot. Taj tried a couple of, I think he hit 1-3 the other game, but for the most part, he bricked them. Mitchell will never be able to shoot a jump shot. There's no progression in his 4th year from his rookie year. So Miles Turner is the player that they have really coveted. The Pacers have always wanted a boatload in return. I don't know if that's changed. Kevin Pritchard looks like he wants to start over. But Miles Turner could block shots and he could shoot the 3. So that's, a focus for the Knicks if they could get Miles Turner. I don't know what kind of package it would take, though. There's another stretch 4 out there in Kelly Olynyk with Detroit. I don't know if he's hurt. They may see him tomorrow. They signed him to a nice contract last season. Again, the Pistons are horrendous. They don't need Kelly Olynyk. He's a veteran player. Maybe the Knicks could steal Olynyk like they stole Derrick Rose. But the Knicks are going to want to make moves because what they put together in the offseason didn't seem to work. The chemistry wasn't there.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems to be the case, man, because I just think that with some of the young guys that we got in here now, wanting to give them opportunity, we definitely need a stretch shooter. We do. We really need a stretch 5 out there. So I definitely could see his name out there. I always thought about guys like Kristen Woods and all these guys, but it's remained to be seen who's going to move who. With the COVID situation, you don't know what these teams are going to do now. They need to stand pat and it's not out there, But
it's a good point. That might hurt some trade situations. First of all, you could sign multiple players right now, but I think some teams might be worried about trading a pretty good piece because they feel they may need that piece as insurance. But Christian Wood is a good name. The Knicks really liked him when he was a free agent. Uh, he's a scorer, can shoot. And when I was talking about they don't have outside shooters in the big man position, I just mentioned the centers, but Toppin is shooting 20% from 3-point range. And Randle has gone from a very good 3-point shooter at 41% down to 33, 34%. And listen, they don't guard Randle right now from the they want him to shoot. They realize he's not in a good way right now, and they're laying off Randle, which hurts a lot of ways because if they're laying off him, he's not as dangerous driving the ball because they're not packed up on him at the perimeter. So he's got a little bit of a disadvantage when he goes to the basket.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Marc, before we let you get out of here, why don't you talk to us about your latest story? I think you dropped a few stories today or over the last few days.
Well, I mean, the one offbeat piece I did was talking to the Bing Bong guy. I don't know if you have read stories about him. Jordy Bloom is his name. He's the one that shouted Bing Bong into the microphone in that viral video after the season opener with that garden celebration outside the arena. And he's gotten a little bit of a celebrity status. But, he's been emailing me and I talked to him on the phone. I had reached out to him. I did see him tweet that he had COVID. And I thought it was, kind of ironic that the Bing Bong guy also has COVID. And he talked about, he actually, we both agreed that they're overusing the Bing Bong in the arena. The game entertainment staff has been using the Bing Bong after 3-point shots. And they're supposed to be like big 3-point shots, not the ones that cut the 16-point deficit to 13 points, which they've done a few times. And he's at almost every game, and he says that's not how Bing Bong should be used. But it is a fun thing. I mean, they say the Bing Bong on the scoreboard, and then the fans answer back Bing Bong. But
Mike said it too once.
Yeah, but on social media, anyway, part of the story was on social media, he's been taking quite a bit of heat from fans saying that Bing Bong has cursed the Knicks, which obviously is ridiculous, but it's made for a fun story.
Okay, yeah, the only curse the Knicks is the Knicks right now. But what's your routine? I mean, we got the Xmas Day coming up, match up against Atlanta. But what do Marc Berman do around Christmas time? What's your Christmas Day routine, and what do you like to do around the Christmas time other than watch basketball all day like all of us?
Well, I mean, almost every Christmas the Knicks are playing. So, and for some reason they seem to always play at noon. So, like Christmas morning, like a noon game, Tom Thibodeau talks to the media at 10:15 in the morning, or pretty early in the morning on Christmas. But listen, we were in Boston. My wife came up to enjoy the weekend in Boston, and it was just even with COVID, I'll tell you, it was a mob scene with the Christmas shopping. Newbury Street, if you've been to Boston, in the Copley Square area, was just looked like Manhattan, like 8th Avenue and 5th Avenue in Manhattan. It was a real lively scene in Boston this weekend. And, we'll be traveling Christmas week. After Christmas Day, the Knicks have that horrible road trip. If it comes off, if the season isn't paused, you got Detroit, Minnesota, then to Oklahoma City, and then to Toronto, although I will back off of Toronto. Too many COVID tests are needed. So all the writers aren't going to Toronto. And in fact, we think that the Knicks caught some of the COVID in Toronto because when they came back, the positives started to pile up. But yeah, Christmas week, I'll be traveling all around the Midwest, and those airports are going to be really, really busy. Always is during the holidays.
Yeah, and blessings to Clyde too, who I haven't heard much update on Clyde's health, but all of us out here.
Told, he's 76 years old. Obviously took all the vaccination shots. Told he was doing pretty well. Wasn't really having symptoms. Again, I was told all the Knicks have been doing great, not great, but they haven't been really sick. And also Rebecca Harlow, the Knicks talented sideline reporter, also came down with COVID after the Toronto game. And in Toronto, she's in the small interview. Well, it wasn't that small, I was told. I was told it was a little larger than most of the makeshift interview rooms. She's in there with R.J. Barrett, who had a homecoming for Toronto, so he spoke after that game, and Obi Toppin, who had a great game in Toronto. And then, without their masks on, and they're talking to Rebecca and a couple other reporters who were on site. And then, sure enough, Obi and Barrett tested positive upon the return, and soon after, so did Rebecca. So it's dangerous right now, traveling and all. But it's the NBA is status quo right now. They haven't. I'm waiting for the situation to become like last season, where it was all Zoom, where all we did was talk to the players on Zoom as opposed to in person. But the NBA has been reluctant to go that route yet. But I have a feeling that might happen in January.
Gotcha. Yeah. On that note, well, Rebecca Harlow, you be safe. Congratulations on the upcoming birth of your child. Be safe out there. All you guys, Marc, is that Omicron is a hot mess right now. It's all over the place, and you guys just be safe, man, and take care of yourself, protect yourself the best you can. And we appreciate you coming on the Real Buzz, giving us your time as always, keeping us in the loop of what's going on and nicking around the NBA, man. You enjoy your Christmas, you and your family. Be safe. And just take care of yourself out there, Marc. It's pretty tough out there, man. We need you to be back on, so you take care of yourself.
Thanks very much, Divine CT. Always enjoy it. You guys do a great job, and I'll hopefully be on again. Hopefully this will continue on. We can pray. But happy holidays, guys. Thanks for the invite.
Likewise. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Yep. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everyone out there. And Marc, we'll definitely catch you soon in the new year. Be well. But yeah, guys, keep a lookout for our Real Buzz coming on Christmas Eve. I'll be doing a giveaway from the Real Buzz. Appreciate you, Marc, and everyone stay well, and see you on the next